Why is vintage so popular now? Many people's understanding of vintage comes from Japan. This term is originated in Japan, which means second-hand goods. However, not all second-hand goods can be called vintage. Vintage generally refers to items that are more than 20 to 30 years old. It can reflect the characteristics of their time and are still beautiful and not out of touch. They have a distinct period style, basically from the hands of brand designers, reflecting a mature, timeless classic charm. In summary, the classic clothes are the clothes that can be worn in the past, at the moment, and even in the future. They are not purely designed to cater to the fashion of the season. The Andrew Hepburn skinny pants in the 1950s, Emilio Pucci's plant print fashion in the 1960s, and the Chanel dress suit throughout that era are all the most standard vintage. The value of vintage is often higher than that of new items in the counter. It is just like a wine in the last century. With the traces of time, it becomes more charming and worth collecting as it grows older. At the same time, due to the development of the times, many crafts or special manufacturing methods will gradually be lost, and many vintage items have become exclusive products. In this area, people always have a preference for rare things, and the rarer they are, the more they want to own them. This is the case with vintage items, which are of course somewhat valuable.
To be fair, I think vintage, because it's a lot older, like the quality was made a lot better than what it is today, and I just think the styles are more, you can wear them like throughout the years. You're not going to wear fast fashion, they're not going to last as long, so you're spending maybe a little bit more on vintage clothes, but they're all going to last you longer.
The cheap prices, non-matching clothes, and uniqueness are all reasons why you like vintage. In fact, compared with the new styles updated every season by big brands and fast fashion, people now want to pursue a more unique fashion taste. The charm of vintage lies in its unreplicability. Who can refuse the temptation of limited? Under the high-speed operations of the fashion industry, high energy consumption, labor-intensive, and high pollution have become several major original sins criticized by the fashion industry. Fashion is already the world's second largest polluter after the oil industry. For young people today, those wardrobes are overflowing with t-shirts, hoodies, and sneakers, almost the same style, and a no more colorful design will one day be submerged in a flood of fashion. Fashion leaders' exploration and reflection, sustainable has become the biggest voice. At a time when sustainability is in full swing in fashion, clothing, the most wasteful of industries, is at the top of the list. Now, fashion has become a questionable business that has to be changed.
I'm not a fan of it. Just for like sustainability and stuff like that. I just think it's not a good way forward, where it's like you're wearing something once and then it's going to waste.
I feel like these days fast fashion is so at the forefront of fashion. Trend cycles are going way too fast. And I just feel like this is the sustainability factor of it. Below, there's people being exploited in lower income countries, and they don't have the means to find other work, so they're forced into slavery.
With the development of the time, more and more people will become clear about what they want. Lacking of cultural perception, a single repetitive design will not survive in the next decade.
Yeah, so I love to buy vintage items because it's different. I like to go to the second-hand shops or charity shops, because you can find very cool pieces which you can't really find in the big shops. I don't really like fast fashion because I think that sometimes quality is not so good. So as I said, like I prefer to go to the charity shops and second hands. But on the other hand, for example, like I buy my shoes like in the normal shop, so I just don't want to be, hypocritical. I'm gonna say I don't buy anything from there. Yeah, I buy sometimes.
Therefore, people began to focus on recyclable and ritual fashion. Everyone loves beauty, but beauty itself can reduce pollution and waste, which is more important for many people. Changes in the fashion industry demonstrate our determination. In this way, vintage in the fashion industry has evolved into an anti-fashion.
Well, I mean, I'm hoping it'll take over because I hope everyone will realise that like fast fashion isn't meant to last. Like you'll get a good like year out of like say something from like Primark, whereas if you buy vintage, you know it's like made to last, so you'll have it forever.
Yeah, I think they need to do a lot more to be more sustainably friendly for the future. Yeah. I don't think, I mean I work in retail myself and I don't think any company, as much as they say they're sustainably friendly, they're not. Even like the way they like get stuff delivered and stuff is just not sustainable at all. So yeah, I think we really need to make more of an effort to like push towards like getting more sustainably friendly.
Vintage represents the aesthetics of environmental protection and the lifestyle of rational consumption and slow consumption. What attracts us about vintage is no longer the purchase of famous brands for a small amount of money. Behind vintage is also reflection on original aspiration, support for sustainable fashion, and respect for culture. If vintage is not at your fingertips, it is environmentally friendly to choose clothes that you can wear over and over again. With the rampant popularity of vintage, the sustainable development of fashion has been widely concerned and accepted. It used to be that fashion and environment go hand in hand, but now it may have more possibilities.